All right, well, let's get to our discussion topic, our main topic today, which is Disney's Jollywood Nights, and we'll give our thoughts on this. But before what we'll do to start it out, in case there's people listening that don't know what this is or curious about it, we'll talk about what it is. Then we're going to talk about how our night went, sort of what we got to do.
In Trip Tales form.
Yes. In Trip Tales form, indeed. Play-by-play.
Yep.
Then we will
kind of talk about like the good and the bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll give our thoughts. We also have some. So we were there with some Club 32 members as well. So we reached out and asked some of them what they thought. So we got some other perspectives as well to kind of bring this in. But we'll basically go over what it is, what we did, and then our thoughts essentially. So that's how this will go. So the intro here, I guess we'll just start and say Disney Jollywood Nights is a special holiday event that is running on 10 select nights from November 11th through December 16th. The event lasts from 8:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m., and your event ticket gets you into the park as early as 7. At this event, you will find live entertainment, exclusive food and drinks, special photo pass and magic shots, dance parties, and you may also do most of the park attractions, and the price starts at $159 per person and does go up to $179 per person, depending on the night.
We did pay $179 for the first night. So it was more than the least amount.
We should stress we paid to go.
We did pay.
Just saying that will become. We'll talk about why that might why that might be an important distinction later on. And even more so, here's some more things that it says directly on Disney's website about this event.
Yeah, it says, Disney Jollywood Nights. This festive season, Disney's Hollywood Studios is hosting a brand new nighttime party. And it talks about you should step into a shimmering holiday scene with dapper decor and themed celebrations where you can dance the night away. Delight in Yuletide entertainment, including live bands, an all-new stage show, and the Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam Nighttime Spectacular. Enjoy favorite attractions with lower wait times during this limited capacity event. Plus, meet some beloved characters for Spirit's Season's greetings. I guess as we go through the night, we'll talk about what each of those things actually is. We won't go into it just yet, but that is basically what Disney says it is about, what you'll get to experience and how it's going to be.
Yeah. So we just want to lay out there, this is, how it's described and all that stuff like that. So we'll start with our experience, like we said, and then we'll go into our final thoughts on it. So we got to the party at about 7 o'clock.
It was like, it was like 10 till, like, I feel like we walked in right at 7. Like, it was really close to like when they let you in, because 7 p.m. was the first time anybody could get in if you just had an event ticket. So we were coming in with a lot of people. Right.
And so we were already hearing on our way over that essentially getting because again, this is a party. So if you've ever done a Disney party, they give you, typically it's just a wristband. But for this one, they did wristband and lanyard, which I haven't seen a lanyard at a party since an after hours party. Well, like probably 2018, 2019.
Well, is this after hours?
Well, no, I'm saying, but for any party, because we've done after hours events since that one, they didn't do the lanyards. Right. So I just haven't seen the lanyards for a while. I was kind of surprised they did it both.
But why both? Yeah, it was interesting.
It was a little interesting. But so we're already hearing that if you're already in the park, there was a very long wait to get your party credentials. Some people were waiting in line as much as an hour. So that already wasn't off to a great start. So, but we didn't have any issue getting in. It's actually quicker to just get it in when you go into the park. So a lot of people were leaving the park, coming back in to get their credentials, and it's way quicker. So, but for us personally, we didn't experience any of that issue because again, we got there right at 7. So we got there and then we met up with some of our Club 32 friends, and then basically we were. At that point, we were kind of trying to figure out what was going on, like what do we need to do? Because one of the things that Disney did, and we didn't mention in what Disney was saying, is one of the things that a lot of people were looking forward to was this Tip Top Club.
Yes, which they described as a soiree that takes place basically in the courtyard around the Hollywood Tower of Terror.
Right, and so before it started, so mind you, before the party didn't start until 8:30, but we could see like they were still setting things up.
Right. Well, the park doesn't officially close until 8. So
but so we're setting things up. So we were asking cast members, and to their credit, like I felt bad for the cast members. they didn't know things. So I put that on management, not telling them. So, but they basically said, like, Disney described it as this like soiree, and there's this jazz band, and there's going to be dancing, and it's limited capacity. And the cast member basically said, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. You're going to go back there, and there's just a bar." Like, they basically played it down quite a bit.
Yes.
We were like, okay, that's interesting. So another cast member wasn't sure where it was going to be.
Right.
So
well, and that was through our friend that had been asking since before we got there.
Right.
She was on a journey to try to find information.
Right. And so there was just a lot of like unsure of things. So we decided the first thing we'll do is, okay, let's do the show, because the show is the
Holidays in Hollywood.
Holidays in Hollywood, and it was starting almost right when the party started.
Yeah. So the first showing for that show was at 8:45. Then we decided, okay, let's go ahead and get in line. So some of our friends got in line for that, and we decided to take some pictures and some video around while we were waiting, because when we got in line, it was like 7:50. And again, that was almost an hour until the actual show started. But we kind of wandered around a little bit. We were going to get a picture in front of the tree over in Echo Lake, but she called us back. She's like, okay, I think they're going to let us in the theater pretty soon. So we went back, and they let us in the theater about 8:25. I want to say, does that sound right?
Somewhere around there,
8:20, 8:25. And yeah, we got a really good seat. We were below all the audio visual stuff, so it wasn't like in our way. We were in the middle section, and I'm just gonna say that I really, really enjoyed this show. This was very much it was my vibe. It was my vibe. It was not Jared's vibe.
Whoa, hold on. Let me, I will speak for myself here.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So if you've listened to the show for an amount of time, musicals are not my thing. It's not something that the show is not for me. I will say, I will say this was a good show. It was a well done show. It was very well themed after the Jollywood theme, which in my opinion is like around the late 1930s, 1940s era. Yeah. And it was like they were filming something for like a TV, like network TV, because they had like commercial breaks, and it was like you were kind of
like a variety show.
It was like you were the audience while there was a filming of a show. Yes. That it would have been. So it had Mickey and Minnie, it had Kermit and Miss Piggy. And actual Kermit, Miss Piggy, not like video of them. They were actually there. The voice for Kermit wasn't so good. Kermit was interesting. It wasn't the best. It was okay. In their defense, the voice for Kermit has been off since Jim Henson passed away. So well, I mean, they haven't really quite nailed that since then. But okay. So I guess in this guy's defense, it's not his fault. But they did really good. They did good. And then they also had like Tiana comes and sings a couple songs. Belle sings some songs, and it was by almost right at 30 minutes. I would say is the show. Yep, it's a half hour long, and it was great. They're very talented performers, and the main hosts, I guess, the man and woman, they had amazing voices. Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was a fast pace. Again, I'm not a person that likes these types of shows, but I found it was entertaining, and I liked it wasn't too slow. It was well paced, so it was a good show. It was, and honestly too, you don't see a lot of these types of shows specifically for parties and things like that. So it's kind of a little unique on that end. So I like the Mickey and Minnie part the best, by the way. That was they have a little song, like a little duet they do about decorating a Christmas tree and stuff. It was actually so cute. Pretty heavy with Mickey and Minnie. I kind of thought it would just be a real quick, here they are, but they like sang and they had some other stuff. So it was quite a bit. So it was great. I will say the night started off on the best foot there. Yeah. I'm not saying to say it kept going that way, but that's where it started. So so we did that, and we got out of the show, and it was right. What was it? What time was it? It was like 9:15, 9:20 by the time we got out of the theater. Okay. So then we decided we were going to go check out, since we were close by, we were going to go check out the Tip Top Club. Which this is the bar that they have set up for over there at Tower of Terror. Now, I guess we should say, what did Disney say specifically? Let me look at this real quick. What they specifically say about the Tip Top Bar. Oh, I can tell you. Okay. So they say says you are cordially invited to Twilight Soiree at the Tip Top Club, a swingin' celebration in the courtyard of the Hollywood Tower of Terror.
or Tower Hotel. Here you can sip cocktails and unwind in style while a live band swoons and croons holiday tunes. Capacity is limited.
Okay. None of that is true. No, I shouldn't say none of that. There was a band back there.
There was a band.
I don't know how you would dance considering it was shoulder to shoulder and there was no limited capacity. There
was nobody doing any of that as far as
it was a
anything.
sea of humanity back there. Now the band was good, I will say. They were
really good. I enjoyed them.
The bar was way in the back and the line, we looked back there and like obviously there's crowds. So you had people coming off of the ride. You had people walking back there.
Yep.
And then you had people waiting in line for the bar. Now, the waiting in the line for the bar wrapped all the way into the entrance of that area back there.
Like by the bathrooms over there?
Yeah.
Like before you turn the corner?
So I walked back there, and obviously we didn't stay that long because I wasn't going to wait that long. And then you come to find out, too, not only here, but everywhere else around the park, it was all pre-mixed drinks as well.
Right.
Which I've talked about before, like festivals, like when you see pre-mixed drinks, I typically don't get them because they're not the best.
Okay, can you explain why too? Because I don't mind it, but I'm not typically the best.
So pre-mixed drink, I mean, typically speaking, when a pre-mixed drink, usually they will be a little bit cheaper, which they were. I did get an old fashioned over there in the market area. It was $9. So typically if you're going to get an old fashioned at Disney, you're going to pay at least $15, $16. The difference being they're much weaker. There's much less alcohol in them, and there's just something about them. Like I don't know what it is. You can taste, at least I can, when something is like a pre-made mix. It just has this different taste. And again, they're made that way to. It takes time to make drinks, so I'm sure they're thinking, okay, we can get this done quicker. You just do that, but at the same time, too. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know if you should really tip somebody when it's a pre-made drink. The whole reason you would tip a bartender is because they're, if you make an old fashioned, there's steps involved, So I don't know if people work because again, I didn't go up there and do that. But typically, I just don't. And a lot of people will say the same thing. It's just like I don't enjoy pre-mixed drinks on that.
Okay, got it.
But I have no idea how long this line was. At
45 minutes when we were there.
Well, at one point I talked to somebody. They said they were in line for an hour. So it was a very long line to get a drink at this bar back there. Now there was I didn't see anybody dancing. I don't know how anybody would have danced. It
was way too crowded to be able to dance. If that's what they were going for, there was no way that could happen. Like you said, people were exiting the ride and like literally the band was set up right outside of the gift shop. So you're in this whole sea of people. You're trying to listen to the band. People are coming and going from the bar that's down the pathway, and there's standing tables there too. So it was just it was a little chaotic. Actually, it was a very chaotic, and it was somewhere where I did not want to be because it was so crowded.
Well, and also it was really dark back there, so you actually couldn't even,
ambiance,
right? But you really couldn't see very well. So I will just say. That was disappointing, and we'll talk about a little bit more about this when we talk about our final thoughts. But I really thought this sounded like a really cool thing. I know you were really excited about it.
This was one of the things I wanted to do out of two. So, yeah.
So that part, and that was like, well, that's disappointing. Okay, so we decided to leave there. I got some footage, and we, eventually made our way out of there. Walked down Sunset Boulevard, and there was a line at Fairfax Fair that was at least 45 minutes. So at this point,
so long.
I'm realizing there's lines for everything at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the main thing. I heard there was some topper, then I heard some food items at Fairfax Fair.
Popovers.
Okay.
Popovers, I think, was the thing.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't get to try anything there.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of the lines.
Right. So we did that, and then from there we
went to Sunshine Days Bar, which was right off of Sunset Boulevard, and that's where I got the sugar cookie martini, which I did enjoy. It's a smaller pour, but it was $11 for that, and it has like sprinkles around it, and it came with like a little sugar cookie on top. I enjoyed that. I like dipping it in my little martini, and it was good. It was good. And then one of our friends got a gingerbread spritzer. It was $7.49 for that. Jared tried that one.
It wasn't alcoholic. It was just
it was
drink,
zero.
But it was fine. Like it was just sort of like a sugar. I don't know, like a. a sugary soda type drink that had gingerbread a little
Sounds
bit.
great.
You know about that?
Sugary soda is wonderful.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I guess I should say too, when we were in line for the show, we did try and get on the walk-up list because Brown Derby had a jazzy holidays sort of lounge. Mm-hmm. And this was another thing where so our friend where they were trying to get on the walk-up list didn't get on there, but she said it was a mess because I guess people were anticipating it, and some people never saw it pop up because you're supposed to do it through the app, and a lot of people were mad. So you're already seeing these little inklings early on in the party that things didn't seem very organized, put it that way.
Well, and it was kind of confusing because people were it wasn't clear of exactly when this was going to open, because 8 o'clock is when the virtual queue opened for Rise of the Resistance, which is what they were using during the party. Mm-hmm. But then this wait list opened at 8:15.
But they didn't tell anybody that.
So you just had to go ask, basically. Ask around and make sure. 8:15 was when that opened. And like you said, it was...
Yeah. It was just one of the things you had to ask, and they said 8:30, it was 8:15, so there was people upset about that. But so we didn't get a walk-up thing for that. But we did end up going in there later. We just didn't get a walk-up thing right off the bat. So after Sunshine Day Bar, we went and got a magic shot on Hollywood Boulevard. There
was 16 of us.
Yeah,
maybe in a big picture. So that was fun. Yeah. I like that. It was a little, it looks like a Jollywood Nights present. Like we're opening the present and looking in it. That was kind of cool. A little proppy.
It was a little proppy. Yes.
Yeah, I liked it.
This is also the time after this where, I guess that gives you the glimpse of behind the scenes of Jamie and Jared. So we're going into this party, and Jamie had not high heels, but you had heels on. I
had era appropriate shoes.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
No, but I guess we should say we did dress up.
We did dress up.
We dressed up. Jamie had on a very, very nice red dress.
It was like a vintage 40s, 50s shorter dress with poofy skirt. Mm-hmm. Kind of circa, I want to say Back to the Future 1955 era kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say so.
But fancy.
It was very pretty.
Thank you.
Pretty. I had on black suspenders. I had a tie, fedora. So I was era appropriate.
It was good.
I feel like Jamie wanted me to dress up, or she asked me if I was going to. I was like, I will wear what I probably would have worn in that era, given my style. Yes. I think that was appropriate.
It was very good. It worked very well for you.
So we did dress up. So that was something we should point. So even going in, I said, honey, those shoes are not going to... Because Jamie has a really hard time with shoes anyways. Her feet give her issues. And I was like, those shoes, you're not going to be very comfortable. Maybe you should wear these other shoes that we have right here. And I was basically told that no, I was wrong. And I was like, okay. So then at this point, I look over and Jamie's just giving me puppy dog eyes because she's like, will you go get my shoes from the car? And I'm just like, I knew this was going to happen.
It's not like I asked you to go back to our hotel half an hour away.
Might as well have.
I asked you to go back to the car, which was right out there.
And I did.
Thank you.
I did go.
I appreciate
to do that. So
he brought me my slides.
As a loving husband, I walked all the way back.
Oh my goodness. Would you like a gold star?
Gold stars were
okay.
What was funny, the security guys, they saw me carrying shoes and the guy just looked at me and laughed. I was just like, they're not for me. And he goes, I didn't think they were. And I'm like, yeah. So that did that. So that took maybe, I'm a fast walker.
Oh gosh, it took no time at all. It
took me 2.5 hours.
I appreciate it though.
Anyways, I went and got Jamie's shoes. Then Jamie was in line, character greet with Mickey.
I had originally gotten in line to see Minnie because they were all in Animation Courtyard and they're all in their movie dress, movie outfits. They had just filmed a movie and then they were taking a break, whatever. So there was Donald and Daisy, and then Goofy was separate from them, and then Mickey and Minnie were separate from that, and Pluto was separate from that, and but they were all in their separate areas, but Mickey and Minnie switched. So I got in line for Minnie, and then halfway through the line, they said, okay, Minnie is gonna, I forgot what they said, but then Mickey's gonna come back out. And I was like, okay. Didn't really want to meet Mickey, especially. I wanted to see Minnie in her pretty dress. That's okay. I got to meet Mickey, and we did a little dancey dance. Dancey dance.
You did. You got a picture with him.
So that was nice. I liked that.
Yeah. That was in Animation Courtyard, correct?
Oh yeah, and I waited maybe 15 minutes.
So this area wasn't crowded.
No.
Now the area, they had a Phineas and Ferb meet and greet that
Oh gosh,
had anywhere from an hour to 2 hour long wait for that.
Yeah.
Which that was. I was like, oh, okay. I would obviously. I mean, I like Phineas and Ferb, but I used to watch it a little bit. But I was like, well, I'm not going to wait an hour or 2 hours for a 4 hour party. I think there's something to keep in mind with this. This is only a 4 hour long party, so some of these lines you may be doing math here.
I'll talk about more about Phineas and Ferb later because I think someone had a question about it. But
and then from here Jamie went over to the Latin Street Band, which is over by Baseline in that area.
ABC Commissary, like that whole area.
That was during the time I went and got the old fashioned from the market area, and then we met with you over at Baseline because you had stopped to get something to drink there.
Yes, and just FYI, it's called a Holiday Fiesta en la Calle, I guess. And when I went there were about three people dancing, and the guy was doing the Macarena song. And then the live band that was farther down, kind of right in front of the Sci-Fi restaurant, they were not there. They were like on break. So that was all I saw. And I was like, okay. So the vibe was very fun, but like just nobody was there.
Not many people were, as the park, go toward the back of the park, not as many people made their way back there.
Right.
So that was something like it was not busy back there at all, I will say.
But we did chill at Baseline for like half an hour.
Yeah, we hung out there for a little bit, and then we went over. There's a robotic arm photo pass that was right by in the animation courtyard area. Yeah,
I guess we can talk about this.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing. So basically, it was a room you go into, and it was a robotic arm that it does a little. I guess you would call it a boomerang kind of. Basically, it takes a motion shot of you doing something. So there was two different ways you could do it. One was a motion capture. The other one was like sort of like a zoom in feature. You would choose, and then I believe it was 15 seconds it had to go on for.
Is that how long it was?
I believe.
Okay.
So you would go up there and tell them what you wanted to do, and they would tell you, like, they had a girl running the screen. I guess it would do the thing, and then if it was good, they'd tell you, okay, it's good. If it messed up, they'd have you do it again.
Yeah.
So the guy would sit there and tell you, like, keep going, and you had to mark a spot. So but yeah, it was this robotic arm that would twist and turn and pull back and go forward and do these things. And if you look at the vlog on our YouTube channel, like I put it in there of Jamie did one. Jamie and I did one, then Jamie did one with some of the girls from Club 32, where it's like, it kind of goes to what it does.
Yeah.
I don't know how much. I mean, what did you think about it? I guess.
Oh, I thought it was so fun because when you look back at it, it's just a different way than just doing a regular video. Like, it speeds up, slows down, moves different directions, different angles, then it goes upside down and twists, and it's a very cool thing. I really liked it. I like that they give you examples on the screen behind you. You could see, like, okay, this is what they did. Here's an example of what you could do, so we could kind of figure it out. But like, we twirled. You twirled me.
Yes,
which was fun.
Well, it's a unique thing. I couldn't help but think. So it was in a room, and I think it's in the room where they normally have the Disney Junior Dance Party.
Yes, it was.
So there was a bunch of higher ups back there.
Yeah.
Watching.
Yeah.
I can't help but think this is almost like a test run for something that could basically replace like the PhotoPass photographers. That was kind of my initial thought of it, or at least in certain areas, because it was a cool feature, but it obviously could just take a normal picture.
Yeah.
But it could do other things as well. So it was neat. I didn't really anticipate that being there, and it's something I wonder if this makes its way, outside of just a party and other things. It's just a robotic arm with a camera on the end of it. So you would just have somebody running it to take the picture, which could be more efficient. I'm not really sure which one's more efficient, but I wouldn't be surprised if it makes its way, into the parks going forward.
It might.
But so from here, what time was it when we got done with this?
We got done with this about 11:35, 11:40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Party goes on to 12:30. So after this, we went over to the Jazzy Holidays over at the Brown Derby.
Yeah, when I was walking to the Latin Street Band area earlier, I had just checked to see if the wait list was open for Brown Derby, and it was, and I grabbed it, and it said it was about an hour wait, and we waited about an hour before they called us.
Well, and apparently one of the issues that people didn't know about this, so if you are going to go here and do this, if it was like a party of 4, it would let you do, but a party of 5, it was just saying it was nothing available, even if there was. So it has to be 4 or less to do this. So if you
at least at that time.
Could be different, but
yes.
So apparently, if you had a party of 5 or 6, you had to have one person make a reservation for 4, another person make a reservation for the other ones. So that apparently was the issue. So we went over here to Brown Derby, and now what was this talk? What did Disney say about this lounge?
All right, so Jazzy Holidays, the Hollywood Brown Derby. During Disney Jollywood Nights, this iconic restaurant transforms into a smooth jazz joint where you can enjoy holiday music, craft cocktails, and an exclusive menu of light bites in a sophisticated setting. The capacity is limited.
I think technically that's accurate. I will say the Christmas decor was a single wreath in front of the piano jazz player. They did sing. He was playing jazz music, and he was a talented guy.
Yeah.
But they played a Christmas song like one every 6 songs?
Something like that.
It was mostly just jazz music. So the interior of Brown Derby was really nothing in there Christmassy, which I was underwhelmed by. When we first walked in, I was like, oh, because
I'm not sure what I expected, to be honest. Like I'm going to be very honest. I am really not sure what I expected, but I didn't expect what we got.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, for sure. I think I was expecting, more than just a wreath or a thing laid out in front of a piano. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Now I don't know the Brown Derby menu that well. Was there? I think some of the drinks were unique to the party, but I think the food was pretty standard because I know those sliders we've had before.
Like I think a lot of the food items were from like their regular menu. I don't know if all of them were.
Yeah, I don't know which one was and what wasn't.
But. Yeah, but like we tried a couple items. We tried the Derby sliders, which was bison and something else.
Bison and pork belly.
Is that what it was? Okay. Believe, yeah. It was like $14. And then one of the friends we were with, she got the pork belly bao, which was actually, those are really pretty good. I actually like those. They were like $11, $12 or something like that. And then I just got a virgin margarita because I was like, it's almost midnight. I don't want to be drinking. So I just got something small. And I don't think you had anything there.
I had a bite of one of your sliders.
That's right.
I mean, I've had the sliders before. I feel like when I had them last time, they were better. They're fine. Like, there's nothing.
I was not impressed with the sliders at all. I did not think they were very good at all. They were dry and kind of undercooked.
They were definitely undercooked.
So
they were definitely. Now I didn't mind that.
I'm not a fan.
I didn't mind that personally, but
I did.
Right. I know you don't like things undercooked, and that's something that and I agree. I think the last time I had the sliders, I thought they were much better. So I don't know which way they're normally served, but it was later too, so maybe the kitchen was tired. I don't know.
The kitchen was tired.
they were tired, but we hung there for a little bit, and the guy playing the piano, he was good.
He was fine.
He was fine. Again, I thought there would be much more of a Christmas vibe in here, and I just didn't really get that in here.
Agreed. So, I agree with that statement.
So while we were in here, it started raining outside. So Jingle Bell Jingle Bam was the finale they talked about.
The fireworks show.
Yeah. Now, if you remember correctly, Jingle Bell Jingle Bam was a fireworks show that and I say fireworks show lightly. It does have fireworks, but it's not like a heavy centric fireworks show.
Lots of lasers. Lots of projections.
Lots of laser beams. And,
lasers.
So that was the headlining thing, which I felt from the get-go, I was like, that's an odd thing to make the headlining thing for this event party, because like you used to be able to see this every single night. And
I remember it. Yeah.
It's an okay show. It's nothing, in my opinion, it's nothing amazing. So that was going on. It was raining. So we were kind of like under the canopy thing for Brown Derby, watched some of it, and then since we had seen it before, it was 12:30 at night, and we were just like, okay, let's go ahead and go. So that's kind of when we left, was then. So
that got completely drenched on the way to the car.
I mean, we did, yeah.
But
I should say they did, and this was unexpected, that you did get coasters when you left.
Got a free set of coasters.
I guess that was unexpected. So we did get something at the end of the night.
They're like, you like to drink. Let's put a coaster under there. Right?
Take it with you in your car.
And maybe that's what it was.
So that was our night play-by-play.
In a nutshell.
And this is going to go into our thoughts on this. So
buckle up. Just kidding.
I did buckle up. Okay. So I guess we'll go into what was the good.
Okay, so one of the good things that I really liked about this party was that lots of people chose to dress up in the old Hollywood glam, and it was kind of cool seeing everybody dressed up and like wanting to be along with the theme of the party. Like I felt like that made it that much better.
I agree, because people dressing up, if I'm being quite honest, were the things that set the.
We're talking about the good right now.
Okay, this is the good. Okay, I agree. Okay, fine. I will say that I agree. The people dressing up was really cool.
Yes,
I agree.
Yes,
agreed.
It was great.
I suppose the other one would be, if you wanted to ride attractions, you had very low wait on attractions.
Yes,
I mean there were
like walk-ons to everything.
Some of the people we were with, they spent most of their party. They treated it as an after hours and rode everything that was open.
Now, Rise of the Resistance did go down for quite a while during the party, so that's not so great. But everything else was open and running, and just a walk on. Mm-hmm. They were like, "Come ride this ride. We're bored," kind of thing. And like nobody was riding anything. Yeah.
That's true. Also, you had PhotoPass downloads that were included with the event ticket. So any of the pictures you took, that was included with your ticket, so you didn't have to have
starting at 8:30.
Right.
Don't take a picture before 8:30, or will not be.
And if you don't,
it will be watermarked.
If you don't have PhotoPass.
If you don't have PhotoPass before the party, like with a different like Memory Maker or Annual Pass or whatever, you're just going and relying on this PhotoPass downloads to be included. If you take a picture with anything with a PhotoPass photographer before 8:30, it should be watermarked.
Yes.
So a lot of people were unclear about that. I'm just letting you know.
Indeed.
Okay.
What's the next one you would say?
The live performers were really good. So I liked the band of the Tip Top Club. I think they were really good. The performers in the show, the Holidays in Hollywood show, were good. The piano player at Brown Derby, the Latin Street Band, all of the live performers, the dancers, the singers, all were great. Like I had no problem with any of those. I thought they were wonderful.
I agree. I agree.
Very, very talented. So, that part.
Even though the Tip Top Club was more of a Tip Top
stand and look
free for all, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
The way it was very much like on theme for like the era and the jazz, I like jazzy Christmas music and stuff like that. So, and again, they were very talented. So I really did enjoy that quite a bit.
Yes. I really liked, we already talked about it, but Holidays in Hollywood show. I thought that was one of the highlights of my night was seeing that show.
You really did like that show.
I really did like that show.
It's a good show. It is a good show. I will say I'm not a musicals type person, but it was objectively a good show.
Yeah.
So if you like that type of stuff, you would enjoy this show. And I will say the cast members were trying their best, and many of them had worked like doubles because a lot of people had been there all day. So I talked to like 2 or 3 that, and I know the bartender. I talked to the
bartender at Baseline. He was exhausted, and I was like, "How are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm pretty tired." I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "I've been working a double. I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning." I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I appreciate you."
Yeah.
and he was trying his best, but yeah, they were tired.
There were a couple that were same. They were working a double. Plus, I felt this is the good. They were doing really good. They were doing their best.
They were doing their best,
and I appreciated them and their effort. There you go. Yes. Anything else good you'd like to mention?
Maybe, but I think we should go on to what wasn't so good.
Okay. So we'll talk about the bad, I suppose, and then delve into our final thoughts here. So the bad. First off, the lines. There were lines for everything. There was lines for pictures. There was lines for food. There was lines for drinks. There was lines. Well, there wasn't lines for rides, I should say.
Besides the rides.
Everything else, because I guess this goes into another issue with the bad is I felt like I love this idea of Jollywood Nights, the theming of this 1940s era Christmas party. I think that's one reason why people bought tickets to this. I felt like the theming was very underwhelming. There's nothing on Sunset Boulevard that to me was there that you don't see during the day or normal park hours. The jazz band playing back there, even though Tip Top Club was not exclusive and was way overcrowded, they were good and they were very on par. But the DJ that was set up that was playing Christmas music was playing modern Christmas music. Like
he was right off of Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, so it's again supposed to be this 1940s era party, and I'm hearing Mariah Carey Christmas songs, or there's a bunch of modern stuff I'm hearing. So
right,
it's like, okay, like I was expecting like Frank Sinatra playing, like that type of stuff playing all night long. That was not the case, but lots of lines, and it was so concentrated on the front of the park because that's the area of the park that is most themed to this party.
Right. Well, yeah, that's Sunset Boulevard is straight out of Old Hollywood.
Right. And so like I think one reason why a lot of people didn't go toward the back of the park was most of the party features were based toward the front.
Right.
And so in my opinion, there was not enough stuff there wasn't enough to spread people out. I'll put it that way.
No, not for this party specifically. One of the things also that we really were confused by, and we're just kind of like, I don't know about that. There was nothing included as far as food and drinks being free. So with Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, you get free cookies, hot chocolate, eggnog, cider, etc. With Mickey's Necessary Halloween Party, you get the candy that's included. Even in after hours events, you get free popcorn and Mickey bars, soda, water, unlimited. Like that's all included. And with this event, there was nothing. There's nothing included. Like everything was an upcharge. You were forced to spend money in order to have a good time, in my opinion.
Well, and when this thing was, we talked about on the show when this was announced a month or so, however long this was announced, I remember saying nothing is included with this.
Right. I remember you saying it.
Like I love the idea of this, but I was like, this is odd because any other party Disney throws or after hours, something is included. That was agreed. That was just something that like nothing was included, and it felt very weird, especially at the price point. Especially at the price point of this event.
Yep.
I know you talked about the lack of event merchandise. They had like one T-shirt.
They had one T-shirt that was themed to the party. And at the beginning of the party, there was a lot of demand to go in and see what it was because nobody had any idea. They're like, how much are they going to have? What's it going to be? Are they going to have any items? There was one shirt. And by the end of the night, there was no lines to try to get the shirt. I don't know if it was the quality of the shirt. I don't know if people just didn't want it. I don't know. But that was the only item they had.
Yeah.
So that was kind of disappointing because I know some people that we were with, they wanted pens. They wanted like pens that were part of the party. They do that all the time with events like this. So no pens, no hats, no ears, no bags, no spare jerseys, no nothing. So.
Yeah. And I will say probably some of the bigger disappointments were the Tip Top Club, given how that was just, I mean, it seemed like it was just really an afterthought. And what is so perplexing to me is I do not understand how they wouldn't anticipate that would be something that would be really exciting to people. Because I can tell you right now, if you're gonna tell me right now that they were going to build some like a Tip Top Club that was going to be a permanent thing, this thing you would never be able to get in. It would just be like always the anticipation and the demand for this, I think, is so high. So I'm confused as to how they didn't anticipate this being, I guess, that desired of a thing. And again, it just seemed very much like, oh, throw a bar back there, put a band here, and then we'll call it a thing. Like it definitely was not what I think was anticipated. And I think the same for Jazzy Holidays over at Brown Derby. I think that was pretty disappointing.
The lounge, the
yes.
Jazzy Holidays lounge was my biggest disappointment because you're right. It felt like one of the Club 32 members asked me the Trip Tales question, what was one word I would use to describe this whole night, this event? And I said minimal, where it felt like they did the minimum of decorations, minimum of food offerings, I guess, minimum. I don't know. Just felt like minimal effort for the price that we're paying.
Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Disney set the bar in which they are judged by. And then when they don't meet that standard that they set themselves. Some people will, and I'm sure people listening to this, some people will say, oh, we're being negative. Like, we're just giving our very honest opinion about how our experience was. And obviously, we paid to come to this, and I would have loved nothing less for this than been a great event. I still love, the Halloween parties, the Christmas parties. Those are always a good time. I think one time a couple of years ago we went and we felt like the Christmas party or one of them was a little oversold, but it was still a good time because there's a lot of things to do. But I think Disney did not meet the standard which they have set, and they have set the standard to be judged by. And I agree with you. I felt like, if it's a family-friendly show, I will agree with you. Underwhelming is a great way to put it. There are other words that may come to mind that I won't say, but I feel like everything was, like I said, there was nothing extra on Sunset Boulevard. There's always Snope on Sunset Boulevard during Christmas because they have that projection show that goes on to Tower of Terror. Mm-hmm. That was going on during the show as well, so that's something you can experience all the time, but that was going on. They did have Snope going down Hollywood Boulevard. Mm-hmm. They did have that. That's not normally a thing that I don't think unless they change it to this year, that it normally goes on that road. So they did add that. But I just felt overall, I love the idea of it. It just in execution was fell very short. I feel like there weren't enough characters. I feel like there needed to be more things to spread people around. And Hollywood Studios does have a problem in that it is a park of dead ends. That is kind of its problem. Whereas like a Magic Kingdom, there's a better park flow. People can kind of flow around that thing where, and a lot of people didn't even make it back toward Galaxy's Edge. I know Brooke McDonald, who's a media person, said she went back to Oga's Cantina and there was literally nobody in there. And it was
dead,
fully staffed, and she went in and had a drink, or I don't know what she did in there, but people were not going around. So this wasn't being treated as an after hours event. In most people's minds, I think, I know some people were trying to say this wasn't classified as a party necessarily. I saw some people on social media saying this. I mean, Disney literally says in the description, it is a party. I mean, it says on the front line there, it is a party.
It is not an after hours event as they marketed the other ones.
Right. So I think for a lot of people, when they think party, you're not thinking rides, you're thinking party stuff. Mm-hmm. I think after hours events, yes, you're thinking ride. After hour events are all about rides. Mm-hmm. No waits or low waits. You get some of the free stuff, you just eat them real quick, and you keep riding stuff. That's the main purpose of an after hours. A party, think of a Halloween party, Christmas party, stuff like that. I guess now we didn't do the Nightmare Before Christmas show. We didn't skip it. We're not Nightmare Before Christmas people, but I felt like that show didn't also fit the theme.
Yeah, it was a little confusing.
Getting that it was 1940, so I felt like overall the theming was really disjointed, to put it that way. I guess it's another way. Underwhelming and disjointed at times. But
I don't know about you, but I didn't have any interest in doing this show. I'm not a fan of Night Before Christmas, so I didn't really care.
Same, and when you only have 4 hours, and this is the shortest party most of the parties at the very least are 5 hours long, and you can get in way early. This one you can only get in about an hour and a half early. So I didn't, doing another show when you only had 4 hours, I feel like that's something I was like, well, let's not do that. So that's another thing. But okay, let's move on and talk about some questions. You want to talk about questions or Club 32 first?
Oh, let's do Club 32 opinions.
Okay. So we got some, like we said, we went with some Club 32 members, and just to give everyone some perspective of what now this is their own words, what they thought about the event. So yes. Not just us. But.
So Martino said, I thought that it lacked any exciting theming or anything that made it worth the extra money to go. There were no freebies outside the coaster, and honestly, I'd have preferred free food or drink. It felt as though I would pay to get the opportunity to pay more. The lines for the special food and drink were ridiculously long and ate up most of the night. On the bright side, the stage show was amazing, and the food I did try was good for the most part. If you're a ride person, this was your event to be at. Seemed as if most stuff was walk-on. Overall, it felt like a disorganized cash grab, and I hope they take that feedback seriously. Just go to the Christmas party instead, in my opinion. Yeah.
So that's the other thing he reminded me, because he and I had this conversation. Mm-hmm. I suppose this party is one way to put it, is on the giving Disney, let's say, best case and worst case scenarios. Best case scenario, Disney just was not prepared for whatever reason. Whether that's a budget, whatever. But again, they've thrown many parties before. You would think they have this down pretty pat, but whatever. They fell short this time, and they tried their best. It didn't work out. Worst case scenario, and I agree with them to an extent there, it kind of feels like a cash grab, a little cash grabby, in that it was just minimal everything. And so it depends on how you want to look at it. And I that wasn't the only time I heard that phrase, talking to people at the party. Because again, you're paying to come here. Like he said, it felt like you had, quote, the privilege to pay and then come pay for more. And that's kind of I would agree with that sentiment a little bit.
And others were kind of echoing what he was saying too. But Sarah, his wife, she said, I agree with what everyone has said. Also, if Disney had tried harder to implement mobile ordering during the event, I think a lot of these issues could have been avoided. In the 4 hours of the event, I only got to try 3 of the food and drink items I had on my list. No mobile ordering capability at all. I think that would have helped crowds.
Agreed.
Also would have helped. I don't know why they put the Jingle Bell Jingle Bam at the end of the night. Why not put it in the middle, like 11 o'clock or 10:30?
I don't know. And it seemed like they were using it as like sort of like this grand end cap,
like,
and
stay for the whole thing, and then you get to see that.
It's a show that again used to be nightly. So I don't know.
Yeah. So that I'd rather have spent the money on a Christmas party ticket, much more bang for your buck. Let's see. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I'll get to my final thoughts, but I don't disagree with that.
Chris said from the beginning it was mismanaged. Cast members had no idea what was going on 1 hour before the start. Then we were misled by a supervisor about the Tower of Terror bar. The show was great, professionally done, but unless you were there to ride rides that were pretty much all walk-ons, this was pretty disappointing. Completely not worth the money. They should have been priced under $100, especially considering you got 0 snacks or drinks. Disney doesn't pay a dime for water or soda from Coca-Cola. They couldn't have at least given people soda and water. How about a Mickey bar? They totally dropped the ball on this. But all in all, our group was awesome. And despite the event being a flop, I had a great time hanging out with everyone. And I'm glad he says this, because we still had a lot of fun at the event because of who we were with and being together.
For sure.
But that doesn't mean the event was good.
Yes, agreed. I think that's a good distinction. Right. Yeah.
We would have had fun if we had just gone to Hollywood Studios as a group on a non-event night. Like ride rides and go to dinner and get food and watch Fantasmic. Like we would have had fun that way as well. I
mean, being honest, you can go to Hollywood Studios any night. You can dress up in 1940s era garb and you can get drinks anytime and not pay $180 to get in to do that.
Sure can. And we do know, we are very aware that this is the first night of a brand new event, and there are a extremely high amount of bloggers and vloggers and influencers and podcasters and social media people that will be there. So it may not be the same as what the other events are going to be, because there'll be more. I think there'll be more people riding rides and stuff. Like, I don't think the wait times are going to be as short in subsequent parties, because all of the people that we just mentioned, they were focusing on stuff that wasn't rides. You know what I mean?
It's hard to potentially. I mean, who knows how people?
I feel like that way.
I understand. You have first party kinks, okay? That you do get some grace in that, but Disney does know how to throw parties. They've been doing this for a very long time.
Woohoo party! That's what makes me think every time you say it.
Sorry, I should say theme park events. I'll put it that way. So they're not noobs to this. Mm-hmm. So to me, some kinks you're gonna have. I'm not saying that's not the case, but this goes beyond kinks to me. This was very much like, again, management failing cast members, because the cast members seem completely like they didn't know. And again, that's not their fault that they didn't know certain things. Like they seemed unprepared, and even they seemed a bit frustrated at times about the way things were sort of going. And really, like the media thing, I know people talk about that a lot. It's always been my thing. Why don't they just have a media event the day before, a couple days before? Let them do all the stuff, get their photo ops and things, because when you have the media there, and it was very evident who was media, because they had like gold lanyards, and many of them had handlers. And again, this is not hating on anybody that is there for media. Fine, do you? That's fine. But I will say there were numerous reports, people talking about being in line for, say, Phineas and Ferb, waiting for a very long time, and the handlers would allow the influencers, what do you want to call them, to cut the line to get their pictures because this is essentially media for Disney that they can film. So they were getting to cut many times, taking multiple minutes with characters to do this. And then when it started raining in the night, they took the characters away, and many people didn't get to meet the characters that were waiting a very long time to do so. So it creates this sort of caste system where, well, Disney values these people over these people, even though these people paid. But you could avoid all of that and just have it a separate night. And they used to do these things. Allow your media people to go in there. They get early access, get their pictures. They can hype it up for you if they want to, but you don't have this this animosity perhaps from people seeing like, oh, these people are getting special treatment and I'm not.
Right.
And at the same time too, it's like, is Disney also accounting for the media people in the total amount of guests in there? Because it almost seems like maybe they weren't, and that's why it would seem so crowded as well. But that's something I think in future events for anything that maybe Disney should look at doing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's a good look when you've got, again, this is not any hate toward people that have media passes. It's just, how does the everyday guest that doesn't know who these people are or know that they're, whatever, I don't think that probably sits too well with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the questions now that
Sure.
people had?
Yeah.
Okay, so I put a question box up on our stories on Instagram and just asked if anybody had any questions about the party. So I'm just going to address some of them. So it says, when do Phineas and Ferb come out? Tips on seeing them. So we saw people lining up before 7 o'clock. They meet in the Echo Lake area by the Christmas tree over there.
Yeah.
And there was already an hour-long wait at like 7:30.
I mean, my guess would be, if that's who you want, I don't know if they made the line known beforehand to the people, but I would say get in line very early.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Like if you get there at 7, go get in line.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because they don't come out until the party starts.
Yeah.
So there's that. So that's Phineas and Ferb. So is it better to go on rides when the lines are short or go to the shows? It looked difficult to do both. You can do both. You can't do like all the rides and then everything that the event has to offer. I don't think that's realistic. One of our Club 32 members, Lindsay, and her husband, Will, they actually spent about an hour and a half riding rides at the beginning of the party. And then I think they did the Muppet Show and like something else. And they were happy. They were happy with how they did it. Yeah,
I think if you treat this as an after hours, at least from our experience, you're better off treating it that way versus like a Christmas party.
Yeah, I think so. It says, how late was regular dining open before the party started? Like 50s prime time, Woody's, etc. So the park closes at 8. At least it did on the night we went, and the party started at 8:30. So I believe you could place your last mobile order for Woody's at like 7:30. As far as like the sit down restaurants, I think they were closing at 8 as well. So there's none after 8 o'clock. So I hope that helps you. I heard the Skyliner closed and that caught some people off guard. How were the buses at the end? We drove, but we had some people that took buses and they said it was okay.
I don't think it was horrible, but it did. Again, it depends. I mean, I'm sure if you stayed for the entire Jingle Bell Jingle Bam, there might have been a little bit of a rush there at the end. But typically at the end of the night for these things, they do allocate extra buses to these areas that
they're ready
you're not
for
sitting
it.
there forever, especially that late. Because again, it's like 12:30 at night. There's nowhere else those buses really need to be other than Disney Springs. So
that's true.
Typically they move pretty quick.
Yeah, the Skyliner will shut down at 9:30 on party days. So unless you're leaving real early, you won't be able to take the Skyliner back. Let's see. Are all rides available during the party? I believe
most
are. So like some of the regular park meet and greets aren't going. I think all of them actually. Indiana Jones is closed. The Disney Junior Dance Party is closed. All the Toy Story rides are open. Rise is open. Smuggler's Run, Mickey and Minnie's. The Racing Academy is closed. Rock and Roller Coaster is open. Tower of Terror is open. I don't know if I'm forgetting any, but there's just there's maybe like 10.
Yeah, I think there were about 10 attractions.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. And then how was the Muppet Show? And overall, would you do Jollywood Nights again? If so, how soon? So I guess we can talk about that as our last thing. Is it worth it? Would we do it again? Etc.
Okay. You want me to go first?
Sure.
Like we said before, the Muppet Show is really good. Mm-hmm. So especially if you like those types of shows. Is it worth it? In its current iteration, no. I can't in good conscience say, like, I think it's worth going to this. One thing to come down to, we've always said the purpose of our show is to help people that are going on trips and give our honest opinion about, because again, Disney's expensive. So it's like, should you spend extra money for this party? Which if you're going for 2 people, you're talking over $300. If you're talking a whole family, that's a lot more money. Mm-hmm. In good conscience, I can't say, yeah, this is a great thing, you should go. Because I think that this party has a lot of work it needs to do. Mm-hmm. I think your money is better well spent. I would say go to the Christmas party at Magic Kingdom. That
I agree.
I would go there. I would do that. That's a good party. We've done it many times. And I would say that. So, yeah, I mean, I wish, again, I love the idea of this thing, but I just think it was really poorly executed. And it, again, with nothing included in this.
As far as like food and drink, I mean.
Yeah, and I'll mention it real quickly. If you want to compare some parties.
Oh, okay.
Halloween Horror Nights over at Universal. And people are going to go, oh, Universal. It's just a comparison. We have some Disney stuff. It's $79.99 per person, up to $119.99 per person. Included in that, you get 10 haunted houses, 5 scare zones. They have food and drinks per purchase. There's a live show. There's merchandise. It's about 7.5 hours long. Mm-hmm. You end up paying about $10.66 per hour, up to $15.99 per hour. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, $109.99 up to $199. Included in that, you have a lot. You have the Boo to You parade. There's a fireworks show. You have trick-or-treating, you special characters, photo pass shots, ride overlays, themed food, merchandise, blah, blah. 5 hours long. You can get in the party even earlier, but on those 5 hours for the party, you're paying $21.99 per hour, up to $39.80 per hour. Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, very similar, $169.99 per person, up to $199 per person. Basically the same things the Halloween party has, except for Christmas themed, except you get, instead of trick-or-treating, you get cookies and drinks. Mm-hmm. That's about $33 per hour, up to almost $40 per hour. After hour events, you still get free soda, popcorn, and ice cream. Those are only 3 hours long. The one coming up in January is $155. So you're paying about $51.66 per hour, but that is touted as very low wait times and is very ride-centric. Mm-hmm. Jollywood Nights, 4 hours long. You're paying about $40 per hour, up to $45 per hour. Nothing else included, though. And in my opinion, there's not enough things for people to do. I don't think there's enough character. I think there should be more character meet and greets. There's no parade. I think the Jingle Bell Jingle Bam is, the other parties have their own special fireworks show that they do. And again, I think the biggest thing for me is just the theming for what it's touted as. I felt was very underwhelming. So I don't think it's a good value. I think you have a much better value even at other Disney parties, which seems weird, but I think, the Christmas party is a better value. I mean, I don't know. To me, that's just every day I would say, yeah, do that. Especially with kids. I don't think kids would enjoy Jollywood Nights.
I guess we should address that. So as children, as far as this goes, it is not marketed as an adult event. It's all ages, but all the stuff that they had talked about in it is more centered, I guess, geared toward adults. For sure. So kids can attend, but because it goes so late and because of the nature of the party, I don't know. I mean, teens would be good, but young kids like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know if they're going to like this as much.
I mean, again, a lot of this is touted as food options, very food heavy.
Food and drink heavy,
so,
yeah.
And again, like, do something like the dessert parties. Dessert parties do this where there's food included. It's like, you can make things where people can get it as part of the event and still buy extra things. I mean, look, again, Halloween and Christmas parties, they give you stuff, but they still have food that you can purchase. So
yeah.
So I would say, that's my thoughts. I would not recommend it. I would say go to the Christmas party at Magic Kingdom, and maybe, I don't think, in my honest opinion, I don't think they're going to tweak it much this year. Maybe some small things. I hope they listen to feedback, and I don't know if you need to rework it from the ground up, but I think you definitely need to rework this party. I'll put it that way.
So, would you like to know what
I was going to say? What would you? I just want to get my
now
final
that
thoughts
you've
out
said
there.
all of that.
I'm sorry. What did you think?
Okay, so I think that, is it worth it? Not as it is right now. As what we attended this last event, I don't think it's worth it. However, I think that first night, I'll call it first night jitters. First night jitters is what happened for a lot of this. But there do need to be some changes that are made. Like Jared said, I don't know how much is going to be changed before the next party. Probably not a lot. But maybe next year they'll kind of revamp it and add some more things, change some things. That'd be great. But the next party is coming up on Saturday, and there's not going to be nearly as many of the quote unquote influencers and vloggers and bloggers. There'll be some, I'm sure. But it won't be any media event as well. So I think it'll be more closer to what the party is supposed to be. So I'm curious to see what the lines look like. I'll be curious to see if attractions are really busy. I'll be curious to see if some of the things that they could fix, that was a major complaint, like only having one place to get your wristband inside the park, like that kind of thing. I want to see those things be addressed now. So I'm not going to say that that doesn't have any value until we see more of these parties go through. For the event, like I said, for the event that we attended, how we experienced it, what we saw, it was not worth the money. I still had a great time with my husband and my friends.
Yes, agreed.
I still had a great time, but it wasn't because of the things that were offered at the party. Well, sadly,
it's kind of like going to a bad movie. Like, you can go to a bad movie and still have a really good time because you're there with your friends, and you went and had dinner, and you went and got dessert, and you're like, we had a great night. Would you recommend the movie? Oh no, the movie was terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
I did like the show. I did like.
I'm not saying the movie. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is, like, you can have the center focus of your outing be around something that's not good and still have a good time. Yeah. So just at the party itself. And yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think I do think some of those little things, like how you get the bands and the credentials, that's more of an easier fix they can do. I am curious to see how the rest of it goes, but we can only judge it off what we experienced, like we said. And to me, the issue I think I have with it being, first night jitters, and I agree there are some things that are first night jitters, but that's also the most expensive party is the first night. So if there are first night jitters, that should be a cheaper party. Or if you've got all these media people coming, it shouldn't be the most expensive night, because I don't think I think they're selling the amount of tickets they always sell, and then they added on the amount of media people coming on top of it. So, and again, we've already talked about that. So, yeah. So, I mean, hopefully they learn from this. And, obviously we're not the only ones that have had these sorts of thoughts on this party. And again, I will say again, I still love the idea of this party. If they can do this well, I think this could be a really big success. I don't think it started off very well. I think they have an uphill battle against
the negative.
Well, yeah, the word of mouth has gotten out, but hopefully they listen to it, and they listen to the guest feedback and things like that. So but again, at the very least, they do a good Christmas party. Go do that one for now.
And that's part of the reason why we saw a huge uptick in sold out parties over the weekend, because people were looking at the reviews and seeing, oh, Jollywood, not what I expected. I'm going to call and switch to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party.
Yeah. We talked to a couple people that did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised to see that either.
So this is what it is. But anyway, we have talked so much about this party. I think I'm talked out about it.
Me too. Nothing else. Yeah. Nothing much else to say.
All right.
I guess if anybody has any questions, go to Capture Magic Facebook community, join Club 32, or message us on social media. But yeah.